Alright, I know it's been a while since I made a video, almost 2 weeks, and, not too much has happened. We're still pretty much in the same spot, but, I wanna make another Bitcoin video, and let's, look at the charts and see if there's anything I can point out. So, when I made my last video, we were right around this area. We had just SFP'd this low for the second time, and, I was potentially looking at this as a pretty bullish sign. We wicked out the range low, we then wicked out the wick multiple times. We had some bullish divs on some lower time frames. We had some better looking divs. And we even got a change of structure here. And I was talking about at the time that I was looking for, potentially a higher low. We did eventually put in a higher low, not in the area that I was looking for a trade. And I didn't end up taking a trade here other than, the long I took from down here. And that did bring us up to the high of the more local range. But that was really all this move was able to do. We weren't able to get a full rotation in the larger range from this. We ended up topping out around this high. We took it out slightly. And fortunately, we did not take out my short from in this area. We must have front ran my stop by like dollars because my entry is right around this area. But I'm still in that short even right now. I have taken some more profits out of it, but yeah, I'm still in this short. And from there, we ended up putting in a new low. We actually, closed below the larger range on the daily time frame. So essentially, we broke the range to the downside, kind of a bearish sign. However, the fact that we are, immediately pulling back up into the range and pretty aggressively right now, and we didn't really see much bearish follow through following that daily close, makes me a bit more cautious to automatically just assume bearishness from this. So I want to take a look at Market Cipher, and I want to go over some of the key levels to watch, specifically some of the key areas of resistance if we are going to continue pushing to the upside from here. And with Market Cipher, let's start off on the weekly time frame. So another, I think, week or two has passed since the last time I looked at this. The weekly momentum wave has actually gotten a move below the last higher lows. So we have kind of slipped down below the area that the Bulls really didn't want to see us lose. At least in terms of keeping this uptrend with momentum intact, it would have been probably better if we printed a green dot pretty quickly and then saw another move to the upside. Um, I don't think this is like an end all be all. The fact that we put in a lower low now means that momentum's going to come significantly down and we're going to see like a really extended retracement from it. But it is kind of a bearish sign that we're seeing momentum continue to move to the downside. And the VWAP is continuing to point to the downside. I think it even just put in another lower low right here, and it did. So we're not seeing signs that the VWAP is like really curving back to the upside, which means that we're not really seeing signs of this momentum turning around anytime soon. But as I was looking at this, I actually noticed a time where we saw something, kind of similar that could give us some hope of us, getting a move back up to the high. We saw a very similar thing over in this area. And if I put a vertical line on the low of this range before we got to move back up to the high, you can see that at the time VWAP was at its lowest point. And we actually kind of saw a similar situation where we lost the last higher low in momentum. Momentum got a serious turn to the downside. And as we put in the low, VWAP was at its lowest point, as you can see. But what happened the next week? Well, we got a very aggressive bullish weekly candle. If I move this vertical line over one, you can see that, from the point where we bottomed, the next week, VWAP, immediately shot up and crossed over the zero line, and we printed a green dot on the momentum wave the next week. So it went from its lowest point to crossing the zero line within 1 week. That could give us hope that maybe we see something similar, where if we get a very aggressive move to the upside, this could turn around just as quickly. But another thing to point out with this comparison is what happened following that was we actually saw bearish divs as we took out the highs. So momentum actually put in a lower high as price put in a slightly higher high here, wicking out the high. And that led to another turn back to the downside. That led to price ranging a bit longer before, it ultimately continued upwards. And I would say that we definitely, at this point, have bear div potential if we get a quick move up to take out the high, or really any move up to take out the high. If we turn around right now, we could see momentum, just barely get a move up as we get bearish divs. Or if momentum comes down a lot and then gets moved back to the upside, we could still see bearish divs there just because momentum was so high at this point. So that was just an interesting comparison I wanted to make. But of course, the difference is, right now, weekly money flow is very bullish looking still. It's not really taking a serious turn to the downside. It's maybe just cooling off a little bit. It's still, very high up there. But we are also at a more significant point right now, I'd say. I mean, we just took out the all-time high. We actually only wicked above it on the weekly time frame. At least, first off, we did close a weekly candle above it, but that was after the SFP close. So that's just some things to consider. I think it is possible that at any point we could see a aggressive move back up to the high, just because the weekly time frame isn't really looking like that's possible. I'd argue that it wasn't looking super likely back here, and we saw that. And this was after we had just taken out the range low as well. So there are some interesting similarities. Now, on the daily time frame, money flow has gotten a move into the red. It has put in a lower low to this wave back here. The last time it kind of dipped into the red, you can say there's kind of a downtrend with daily money flow here as we now put in another lower low. And we do not have any bullish divs on the daily time frame on that most recent low. However, you can argue that there is a hidden bullish div from this wave right here. Momentum put in a significant lower low here, but price is clearly putting in a higher low, at least at this point. And maybe you can even argue a hidden bullish div with money flow. With money flow putting in a lower low, although, I don't really know how well a hidden div with money flow would work. But, overall, it's not looking super good. Money flow is getting a pretty serious turn to the downside. We, saw a little attempt at getting a move back to the upside that failed very quickly, and that brought money flow into the red. And, in a local sense, I'm not really seeing anything good that says this, might be a bottom spot. We're seeing momentum put in lower lows, money flow put in lower lows. Doesn't mean we can't bottom out like this. I mean, we did see a very similar thing back here where momentum was putting in lower lows, money flow was putting in lower lows. But, as this anchor wave right here bottomed out, that ended up marking the bottom in price. We got a very aggressive push to the upside following that. The daily time frame wasn't really looking good here either. But, the difference is money flow right now is in the red, whereas back here, it's just kind of in a downtrend in the green. Now, on some of the midterm time frames, we're actually seeing some bullish signs in terms of the money flow curving back to the upside. We don't have any bullish divs on this low. This, marked pretty much the lowest point in momentum, at least recently. But we are seeing 4-hour money flow curve back to the upside nicely. We did just print a red dot on this 4-hour momentum wave as we're running into some resistance here, which there is more resistance than just this anchored VWAP. I'll go over that in a second. But 3-hour very similar. Money flow curving to the upside nicely. We had a red dot here, and let's check on the VWAP. And it is not really showing signs of curving back to the upside yet. It's still pointing downwards. But, at any point, this could just print a green dot. And rather than trying to guess, we can go down to the lower time frames and see if there's anything that might point to that. The 2-hour, not really at this point. It looks like the VWAP just put in its lowest point. And there was a little attempt here at printing a green dot with money flow curving to the upside, but that ultimately failed. Money flow is still looking pretty decent here, though. Overall curvature in the red just crossed into the green. Got a pretty decent move into the green. Now, the 1-hour is interesting. The 1-hour money flow is looking very bullish. We are, reaching some of the highest points that we've seen recently. The 1-hour money flow is definitely getting up there. We're actually seeing money flow at a higher point than what it was at back here when price put in this high. So, we kind of had an attempt at maybe rotating in the range after taking out the range low. But money flow kind of ended up failing. There wasn't a lot of strength there. We lost the range to the downside, and now we're seeing more aggressive money flow in the green. Yet price is still right now putting in a lower high. Could that be maybe a bearish sign that despite all this bullish strength, this strong move in the money flow, price is still right now not putting in a higher high compared to back here? You could argue maybe a type of hidden bearish div with money flow, but we'll have to see how that develops. With money flow looking this bullish, I wouldn't really be surprised if this aggressive move to the upside continues, even if it has to stall out for a little bit. But locally on the 1-hour, we do actually see some bearish divs with momentum, not with money flow. Money flow is still putting in higher highs, but we are seeing momentum take a turn to the downside right now with the VWAP putting in lower lows. On the 45-minute, money flow is starting to turn back to the downside a little bit. maybe looking like this move is potentially over. Like we're reaching points in the past where money flows topped out and reversed from, like back in this area. Back here we got a little retracement from this area, then we got another move to the upside. Price actually continued to the upside pretty significantly following that. So maybe money flows just cooling off before another push to the upside that could give price, another significant move up. But, it's definitely uncertain. We are seeing money flow start to curve to the outside, and we are running into some significant resistance here. So, not surprised that we're, seeing that resistance displayed in market cipher with some of this uncertainty. On the 15-minute money flow, getting a move to the downside locally. No bear divs on that high, though. But, yeah, we're definitely seeing signs that price is struggling in this area. Could maybe just lead to some consolidation. Maybe we range for a little bit before the next push up. Or before the next push down. We could break either way out of the range. But now let's take a look at some of the key levels that we are running into. So first I want to take a fixed range pull of this range, and we are right around the area of the point of control. We just got above the value area low, and we are kind of struggling around this point of control and around this anchored VWAP pull from this high. This pull has been pretty respected as resistance. We got above it a few times, but it ultimately ended up being resistance as we reversed from that area. So I think this zone, pretty much between this anchored VWAP and the point of control, is going to be very significant. Even slightly above it, like if we just barely get above the anchored VWAP and we start struggling a bit and then coming back down, that wouldn't be a good look either. We could maybe expect something similar to this. But yeah, I'd say we're running into some resistance right now. And other than that, we do have a bit of a downtrend from the all-time high. We can see a bit of a downtrend with lower lows and lower highs. And in this trend, the last lower high is coming in right up here. So based on this, we can say maybe this move to the upside is just simply to put in a lower high in this trend. Maybe we put in a lower high in this area or somewhere around here. So that can be an argument to say that maybe we do end up reversing and continuing lower from here. But, I think if we reclaim this area, there's probably a much better chance that we're going to, push towards some of the highs of the range. Maybe the all-time high, maybe we just end up kind of rotating and getting close to the high again like we've done in the past. And there is some interesting confluence around that lower high. If you take a fib retracement from all-time high to this low, the golden pocket is actually coming in right around that high, actually almost exactly at that high. So I would also be looking at this area as potential resistance. We could come up and wick out this high, run into the golden pocket, and that could technically still be a lower high, even though we put in a higher high. If we just wick it out, that's not really breaking structure. So I would definitely watch that area as well. And other than that, there is a 786 at the value area high. That's not really an area I'm super interested in just because, if we do that, then we are breaking above this high significantly. So, we could stall out in this area, but I really wouldn't expect much from that. Maybe a range forms in this area, and maybe there are some trades to be had, maybe even some short scalps. And, sure, there is a possibility of us reversing from this area. We've reversed from this zone in the past, but, what are the chances we're going to front run the all-time high again? I think it's kind of unlikely, but, it still could happen. And I think in terms of significant areas, at least on the higher time frames, that's really it right now. At least within this range. That's the important stuff I'm watching. And other than that, I am looking at local price action. I'm looking to scalp. And I am in some trades right now. I'm in a long from somewhere in this area, I believe somewhere down here. And yeah, that's actually my position right there. So I entered a long in this area, and I'm still in that. I took a lot of profits out, obviously. A lot of them before this very aggressive move, actually, because I was trading like local price action. But I still do have a little bit of that open. I'm holding that for, just in case we end up going all the way up to all-time highs. I want to be in some kind of long, and I am potentially looking for other long positions if I see opportunities. And I am still in this short from over here. Alright, well, I think that's everything I wanted to go over. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, consider leaving a like, subscribing, leaving a comment. All that helps to support my channel, and I appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next video.